about to go down.
It's lovely pass, and there he turns cleverly. Can he find a finish? Oh, he can!
Skilled by Joshua, and a return right hand. Good counter right. Bullen is hurt. Second right hand. That clipped him as well. Now he goes in for the kill.
Well, Ricciardo is inching into the lead, and Ricciardo that win the Italian Grand Prix!
Gonzalo running the floor.
Still leading the way with Canada in there too with the Netherlands.
And Musa makes it 4 goals in 2 World Cup matches.
The Monaco Grand Prix! Ricciardo triumphant in Monza.
Through Bodenbauer and an early touch and an excellent.
Sports Orbit. We make the world go round.
Hello out there and welcome to this week's episode of Sports Orbit. My name is Afa Acho and I'm here with the returning Salifu Usman. Salifu, you've been missing in action for a while and it looks like you thoroughly enjoyed yourself.
Well, this now good afternoon. It is good to be back on the show again. And let me use this opportunity to say kudos to to you guys who fought for when I was not around. You who have done very well. It's both that I'm back there again to talk
sports. Yeah, of course, a lot of developments. Of course, this evening in the world of sports. Of course, there's plenty of basketball news. We also have a review of the weekend's matches. But first of all, we'll begin with basketball, where the coach of Kano Pillars, Sani Ahmed, has lamented that the inaction that has characterized the basketball league is thoroughly affecting players. In fact, he has even gone on to complain that it has even become so bad that feeding their families is becoming a challenge because the allowances they usually get from participating in this, basketball league, the money is not even forthcoming and all of that. And he's actually hoping that the NBBF crisis will resolve. Only last week, FIBA came out to say that, they were standing by the 2019 constitution of the NBBF. At this point in time, what is really the state of the crisis and how do you see that this crisis has really impacted negatively on our players?
Yeah, definitely. Just like Sani Ahmed rightly say, even though those that are outside the basketball should also know that when things are not going well, definitely just like when they say that when those elements are fighting, the guys that suffers. So the victim of all those crises are the players and the players, the coaches, the referees, and the other certificates who depend on this game. And just like rightly said, for example, most of the players who play the domestic, most of them are not even on the payroll, they are not being employed. They depend on the week in, week out when they play the matches at the same time. Even those that are on the payroll, how much is their salary? They also depend on this allowance, match bonus allowance, and problem allowance to also make it end. And just like he rightly said that during the just concluded the final 8, that as he came for the top tournament, a certain amount will be paid for allowance. And without that competition, where we didn't get allowance for. So definitely, it's an appeal that okay. The gladiators to look at this thing. While you are fighting for the leadership, we should also know that the key actors, who are the key actors, the players and the basketball, and the coaches and the should also take their interest into consideration. It shouldn't because of their own self-esteem, because of their own what you want to be. To just render the game inactive. And for 4 years, there's no league, and definitely you know how much this player has suffered a lot, and that's what the coach is. Even as an adult person, according to his earnings from Kano State government, but that salary cannot be enough because he also depend on this weekly allowance by play match allowance to also make it end. And at the same time, the same thing with the players. Most of the players depend on this to also sustain their family. And like most of the players has also even abandoned the basketball. Exactly. They have to go and look for something else to do. And it's not good for the development of game. It's not good for the development of basketball in this country. Because those players who are moving the game, how do you need players? The other ones are crying. How who new one will move on? And what is the platform for the new player to move to come to the family?
This NBBF crisis, couple of, I think last month or so, there was a reconciliatory, committee set up by the minister. Members were named, and like we said, we're awaiting that once the committee is done with its report, it will be made public. But up till now, we are yet to hear anything from about the committee. So at this point, we don't even know where the crisis stands. And of course, I think 2 weeks ago, FIBA also wrote a letter to the NBBF maintaining a stance that they will not accept any change to the 2099 constitution, and also at the same time giving a deadline that elections must hold latest by January 31st. If not, there will be some sanctions. And from that letter, one thing that was clear from that letter was that it was addressed to Musa Kida. So that's to say, while Wale was here, we discussed it, and I said it means that in the eyes of FIBA, Musa Kida is still the president of the NBBF. What do you have to say about this?
Sometimes these countries, the more you see, the less you understand. And sometimes people fail to understand that the damage they are doing to themselves or they are doing to the country. You shouldn't, because of your own personal interest, to ridicule your nation. How can somebody somewhere else, FIFA or FIBA, telling a nation, a sovereign nation, that you can't amend your own constitution? Nigeria is signatory to the FIFA. We raise our FIFA as an official to FIFA, but you can't. The constitution of the NBBF is an internal issue.
But
and
you're suspicious that close to an election, you're about to amend your constitution.
Let me end. You can't, even though you close to an election, somebody somewhere than somebody cannot dictate for the country. Just like this same scenario always play out in FIFA issue. When the NFF always say that if it had been FIFA hammer, Dagle, FIFA hammer, Lumi, FIFA ban, Lumi, FIFA this, Lumi, all those things, even from the body of the letter, I've not seen the letter, just like you say, you see that something is suspicious, something bad. Why should you address the letter? Somebody who his tenure has expired as a member of the NFF. Why not the secretary of the NBBF? We have an active secretary. We have an active secretary running. Why not the secretary? Why Musa Kida, who has achieved the position? So if you really want to write to the people, you should have probably. So some people are influencing all those data that you are seeing. And that's why I'm saying that people are doing damage to themselves or ridicule their country just because of their selfish interest. But I strongly believe that yes, the basketball cannot go without the agreement of the customer. What I expected, even this crisis of the NBBF, FIBA contribute to the crisis. FIBA contribute 50% to the crisis we're having in the NBBF today. When the election was held in 2017, faction 2 elections, one in Kano, one in Abuja, FIFA came up and said that they do not recognize none of the election on the ground that none of it meet each standard. Okay, that's and there should be a reconciliation committee to hold another election that they are going to come to handle. Till today, 4 years later, FIFA has not come back to hold the same election. And the same FIFA is coming now to tell someone Kida, you said that you did not recognize his election. FIFA said the statement are everywhere that you did not recognize his election, no more election. You are not recognized for 4 years after now. You are not, and the country is now trying to manage their crisis and said you cannot amend your constitution.
All right.
So they appeal, just like I asked them, people should try to bury their hearts, to hold their sword, and show their sword for the amicable resolution of this kind. Because at the end of the day, the people who depend, who their daily bread depend on this thing, are suffering and they are crying. Yeah. So they should be in the interest of the players and the coaches who their daily life depend on this thing. Not just them, they have dependents. They have wives, they have children. So if you take the statistics, you can say that almost about thousands of Nigerians are being affected by this situation.
All right, still on to basketball. The founder and proprietor of Mark Mentors Basketball Club, Ikoche Mark, has promised to resuscitate the giant domestic basketball leagues in 2022 across Nigeria. Of course, Mark is seeking a seat in the incoming board of the NBBF as a representative of the North Central. So for a lot of times when people are aspiring to different positions, they come up with all kinds of promises, all kinds of beautiful things that they intend to do once they assume office. But sometimes these people assume office and it's still the same story. Well, of course, we all know, for followers of basketball in Nigeria, we all know who Igor Chapak is. Of course, he has done well with his Mentors Basketball Club. But it's quite different in when you are on the outside, being a proprietor of a basketball team, and when you come inside, it's a different ball game. Do you really think, going by the pedigree of someone like Igor Chapak, do you think he has all it takes to bring about the necessary changes he promises to make, and not forgetting that a tree does not make a forest? So he might have good intentions, but you have also other board members who must also be in sync with you to make this happen. But do you think that Mark has what it takes to bring about some changes?
Well, I quite agree with you when you say that when the typical Nigerian politicians, when they're sitting for office, they promise a lot, and by the time they get the power, they don't even know how to go about the promise the promise they make when they come to the power. But Mark is not Mark is not seeking just to become a board member. He's eyeing the presidency.
Yeah. Actually,
but first and foremost, he has to come to the board first before he's seeking the presidency. Yes, just like you say, in terms of basketball, Mark Igor Chapak has done well. He was one of those in the early during during the reign of his father as Senate president of this country on the early basis, they always hold basketball playing which is a maker of sort for all basketball across the country. All Nigerian players, both for the foreign players, all during the drink on December 26th, everybody moved towards the pool for the basketball playing, and it was one of the big events then. But after his father exited the power 2015, that program will never come into. Not coming. But I'm not trying to say that because his father left the power, he was not trying to. But at the same time, the method ball he found has one of the big clubs in basketball in the country as well. So I strongly believe, but yes, we need somebody who can do something and command actions, who command the good respect of the people. Because once you say that it's not a thing of making before you succeed, you need to command the good respect of the people as followers of the people, ensure that you put your agendas through, because we are going to work with other board members and other people. So let's see how it goes, but I strongly believe that if he's someone who has basketball to his heart, the Mark families, apart from Higoshima, the Mark families are very passionate about basketball. Apart from Higoshima, well, there's also one that Mark, and many that can name them who are all of Mark, and all they're all committed to basketball, very passionate about basketball. They're always in basketball. They have love in basketball. So I strongly believe there is a family that has love in basketball, so passionate about basketball. If you give him the opportunity, I believe that maybe he will begin to do something better than what we have seen at the moment. Because what we have seen the last 4 years is there's nothing to write home about. So we need somebody who can reignite the basketball in this country. Because in terms of basketball, Nigeria has gone further. Our name has moved up in basketball, and we can't allow to go below that status of advantage in basketball.
So just like you said, for someone like him aspiring to, the presidency is a good thing, because I think it's high time people who have an active interest, someone who is a club owner, a renowned club, eyeing the presidency, I think it's a good thing. I feel if those kinds of people eventually get the position, they'll have a better understanding of how to than people who are businessmen. Yes, they might have some interest in basketball, but have not been involved like that, maybe on the business side of it, who come in as administrators, and at the end of the day, it's one fight to another, and you all discover that at the end of the day, all this fight still goes down to lining up their pockets with money. So, but we wish Mark well.
I agree with you. If you're looking at those who are aspiring to become an NBBF president, look at there's not anybody that deserves that position than him, because in the sense that he's actively involved.
Exactly.
The Mark basketball is one. It's a private owned club.
Yeah.
He paid those players. He paid those players. That means he's that wear the shoe, know where his pieces. So he know what is saying to run the basketball, and he know that if by adventure he mess up that, like the one we have seen in the last 4 years, that the club has got run down doing nothing, definitely he also affected his own business. He also affected his own club. So definitely, if you give him the opportunity, you will not allow to mess up the domestic league, just like we have seen the last 4 years, because you know that it also affects his own club, and you will not allow that to happen.
All right, there's still much we have in store for you when we come back, but at this point, we'll we'll take a breather, go on a short break, and when we return, Sports Orbit continues. Don't go nowhere.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
All right, welcome back to Sports Orbit, coming to you live from the Leadership Podcast Studio. Our next story is on football, and of course, the National Stadium in the news, as the federal government has tasked the Nigerian Football Federation on CAF inspection. Actually, on Friday last week, I watched on TV, the handing over of the Moshood Abiola National Stadium. From what I saw from the pictures I saw on the TV, I saw a very beautiful stadium, all looking like we're in one of those stadiums in Europe and all of that. And, well, in my mind, I was like, well, this is only on TV, but I'd like to go there and see things for myself before I actually believe. They say seeing is believing. Sadly, for the pictures we saw on TV, is that how the stadium actually looks? Is the stadium done, dusted, and ready to be put into use?
Yeah, I can confidently tell you that what you see on the TV is a reflection of what is on the ground at the moment. I'm just coming from the side. I was at the stadium today.
Okay.
So in terms of the playing pitch, the playing pitch of the stadium, our Moshood Abiola is back to life and it's green and it's ready for any football action. And just like the federal government and all the NBBF ensure that okay, FIFA also of course
CAF has to.
yes, because the last time competitive match action was played on that match on that stadium was 8th October 2011. 2011.
Okay, imagine that.
It's almost
10
years after, more than 10 years after, 10 years and 1 month after. So for the stadium has gone upon that for a long period of long time because you can't say that because it's still a magnificent of stadium like national stadium does not need any FIFA approval
Exactly.
But because he has been done that for over 10 years, there's need for inspection to FIFA to come and look at the CAF to come and look at it. Yeah, this stadium is ready to in terms of everything. The scoreboard is back, everything is back, the media center is back, everything the network is back. But the only thing because at the time of that situation was concerned, those who have new technology, the video, the VR. All those systems were not included with the VR, but then there was something like VR. Now we have a VR. So they need to install the VR system of the stadium, and that is one thing that is lacking at the moment. And just like what I heard is that the federal government, the subsidies transport, has directed the Department of Facility to liaise with the NFF to ensure that those VR installation is put in place as fast as possible to get FIFA and CAF approved that stadium. Because the federal government, the Minister of Transport, wants the Super Eagles to come back to Abuja as soon as possible. But the only challenge is in Nigeria Football Federation because I can confidently say that some of the big head and were not happy that that stadium is coming back to life. Because
we know why.
You know why exactly. Because we kind of this minister is kind of desperation.
Yeah.
Because he's going to ensure that he enforce that NFF ensure that Super Eagles will come back to Abuja. And I believe that will not go down well with the Nigerian Football Federation, the officials of the Nigerian Football Federation. But for fans, for Nigerians, they want the Super Eagles to come back to come and play on a very great, befitting stadium that befitting of the status of the Super Eagles.
The NFF always like hosting the games of Super Eagles in states that have in quote football-loving governors. And of course, we know what that means.
What they would
Yes.
Because for instance, like I was discussing with somebody here today, if the Super Eagle looks like the minister is trying to enforce, and the Super Eagle come back to Abuja, if they come back to Abuja, so the only thing then now, the ministry the federal government decided to shadow the welfare of the players. At that time, the accommodation of the plan, the federal government need to cover that and ensure that the players will. But the officials of the NFF who all travel to state, lodge in a 5-star hotel at the expense of the state, that will not be there. And definitely because there's something that always achieve government business they pay the player or take care of themselves. So those benefits that some of them have been enjoying, if they are coming back to them, they're going to be on their own. So definitely the government concern will not only be on the players, but to say kudos to the Minister of Finance for it, and it should ensure that because no amount of like they will take back the try to do you should ensure that this stadium holds the Super Eagles. This is provide precisely the last World Cup or the last World Cup. From the play in Abuja, definitely. And I believe so that will ensure that happen.
Yeah. And one other thing is, what do you think needs to be, because now we have the stadium back on track. So what do we need to do to avoid a situation where in another 2-3 years the stadium is back to square one? Do we, although I've heard rumors of the stadium being handled, given over to some private persons, a sort of public-private partnership to run it for a while, stabilize it before handed over to the government. But some people are suggesting that why not continue to do a public-private partnership to ensure that this stadium continues to be in good shape?
Well, even as much as I'm not trying to just speak to the minister, like now, our challenge is that sometimes in Nigeria system, it's the person that make office, not the office that make the person.
Yeah.
It's sometimes like now, if this minister, by the grace of God, no matter how long he stays in this office, but in 2023, high 2023 may he be out of this office, except forcing fall on him and so on. The next president appointed, and I mean, since that happened, that really happened, very unlikely that another president will come and appointed him as a minister of finance. Okay, the passion he has shown to this point. If not for him, this will not have come back to that. Whatever anybody may say, whatever anybody may say, he initiated to ensure that he went after he come back with that initiative, adopt initiative, he has to try to meet those individual one-on-one to ensure that will commit them to ensure that will take over the realization of that stadium. No federal government will have released money to the realization of this federal stadium. So it is personal initiative to ensure that this people. But how many ministers that long was there for 4 years? We said before 4 years. We told him he don't even care about the stadium. They don't even any single attempt to realize this. But now we don't know. The next minister may come now. We don't even care about the minister. But as far as that remain in office, he will not allow this stadium to go back to what it was. But my fear is that after he leaves office, who else will take charge and to ensure that this stadium remains? But I just like say, we need a private. This stadium is an investment. It's supposed to generate money to feed himself.
Exactly.
There's no even need to government to bring money from anywhere. This stadium is supposed to earn money, finance and maintain itself. But unfortunately, most of people who are in government is lacking the credibility to ensure that this stadium generates. If you go to that stadium, there are many facilities apart from the place. There are other facilities around that you can make use.
Exactly.
In the idea of those who they plan about, there's a bank there, there's a hotel there, there's many shops around, but those things are not being put to use. Those things are supposed to be put to use to ensure that the stadium finance itself. But I believe that they need to put their ticket capital on and to ensure that this can generate money, but not generating money in a sense that bringing a short crusade or whatever to come and descend on the beach. Because any attempt to generate through short crusade or music concert on it, we are doing damage to the beach.
Exactly. All right, we hope that this speech will remain in this form. I mean, looking at it, even right here, looks so beautiful and good for football action. Anyway, moving on to the next story now, we'll go straight into Karate, where the Nigerian athletes campaigning at the ongoing 2021 UFAK Karate Junior and Senior Championships in Cairo, Egypt, have begun their quest for glory in flying start yesterday. Once again, they had issues with visa and all of that. We remember just not too long ago the incident that even happened with Eyimba. You know, just in North Africa also again, and these people, despite experiencing all these things, they still have, still went ahead to dare the odds and go ahead and do their thing.
I don't know, oftentimes the organizers are because if you are going for a competition, there's supposed to be a visa waiver.
Exactly.
For shots and athletes that are going for a competition.
Mm.
But oftentimes you hear this visa delay, visa denial. Remember there was something that Nigerian basketball was supposed to travel, Nigerian basketball team was supposed to travel to Spain. The Spanish embassy denied them completely for even give them a visa. So and now with Africa within Africa, you are denying a team that are going for competition. They are not going for any other team. They are going for competition. But if you know, I think the continental bodies or the world bodies will also take this into consideration. If any country is bidding to host any competition and they cannot guarantee and give them a visa for the participating, you shouldn't give them the hosting right.
Exactly.
Why can you hosting the competition and those who are competing for coming to correspond for competition, you are denying them a visa to enter your country? The team could not go. The team that was supposed to prep for earlier, they could not go. Just a day to the championship. The top on Thursday and they arrive on Thursday. A day to the championship.
And still be able to win three medals.
Good that the team, despite all the hurdles they have to pass through, they have decided they can put before the two bronze medals.
Two bronze actually.
Before the end of the competition on the 15th, they'll be able to hold that they'll be able to air around to win more medals again. And I think it's a positive development for our karate teams.
It's still moving ahead now onto football, where the Falconets trashed Congo 4-0 in Brazzaville, of course, on the way to the qualifiers for the Under-20 Women's World Cup African qualifying round. Nice one coming from the Falconets.
Yeah, Christopher the Dutchman. Yes, they are doing fantastically well, and I think that they should keep on the momentum until they qualify for the World Cup. I think it's fantastic, good performance. They went to the Congo and beat them in their own home ground. It was not a small feat.
But usually, especially these days on the continent, seems like Nigeria seems to do very well when it comes to this sort of games. They want to go out of the continent. We get beaten. Is it like we're just local champions, or don't you think it's high time we start really making a strong impact even outside of the continent?
Yeah, it is a desire of every Nigerian, desire of everything is to do well. We have come of age, having dominated Africa for a very long time. Even our chance of our status of dominating Africa is even threatened.
Exactly.
But thank God that the Falconets are trying to redeem the image of reviving the image of Africa. Because if you look at this is the qualifier, they are only trashing. They're trashing back over anybody that come their way. So we can't say of that of Super Falcon at the moment, because Super Falcon are strong at the moment in the continent. So, but having dominated Africa over the years, it is not right that we take and bring to the up level. Okay, for instance, at this Under-20, we are playing the final. We are playing the final of the World Cup. We playing the final. We lost we lost to Germany in the final. And I think yes, we have lost in the final, and it is a good performance. But even at the World Cup level, and the Senior World Cup level, we are not able to get to the quarterfinal of the competition. And I think this high level that we need to all the game and but what is I even sometimes most of the things we are even doing is I still give kudos to the individual players who are on their own trying to come up. Exactly. Because if you look at the environment, it's not conducive. When last the women league went off. Up to the league is not on. So even this partner that are keeping their momentum playing, that we give them the kudos. There's never not been playing active on weekly basis. They're still be able to maintain this momentum and do the control. But until we do this right thing actively, we cannot be able to do it outside there.
All right, shortly before we go, we'll do a quick recap of the weekend results from the English Premier League. Of course, interesting matches went down this weekend in the EPL. Of course, some results are here where in that London derby, of course, Chelsea are beginning to get a reality check where they fell 3-2 to David Moyes' West Ham. I think West Ham have been impressive so far, beating some of the top teams and have maintained their position in the top four. Of course, Newcastle won their very first game of the season against Burnley. Southampton drew 1-1 with Brighton. Liverpool, of course, continued their fine run against Wolves, although there was a narrow victory there. Of course, Man City trashed Watford 3-1. Tottenham were 3-0 winners. Leeds United played a 2-2 draw with Brentford. Of course, United 1-0 over Crystal Palace. Then Steven Gerrard's Aston Villa, edged Leicester City 2-1, winning his former boss Brendan Rodgers to that one. I mean, quickly, Salifu, which match actually stood out for you in this weekend?
Just like rightly say, West Ham has been one of the surprise packages this season, and David Moyes is doing a fantastic job at the West Ham there. Remember when they beat Liverpool, we thought it was just a fluke. Now they have beaten and beaten Chelsea, beat Chelsea to the extent that even the Chelsea coach is lamenting about that defeat. So it is a painful defeat for the Chelsea. And if you look at the way they scored 3-2, it's so good. And at the same time, even Steven Gerrard. So I commend the team. I think Steven Gerrard is coming to the English Premier League to do something. Coming from the Scotland League, and now he's coming to the to even beat Leicester. That's his own former coach, who's a player under. Exactly. Who was a player under, and now beating his own former coach. 2-1.
Notice Aston Villa were struggling to get results before he came. But since he came, he has won 2 matches, lost 1, drew 1.
Yes.
No, he has won 2, lost 1. No, sorry, 1-2. I think drew 1 and lost 1.
So it's even though I think even the match against Leicester is one of the biggest, one of the top in the and being for Aston Villa being within the level they are when he came, still have what it to beat Man City. Leicester City again under his own former coach. I think it's a good combination and close to that. And Man U, it's like Man U have they found their ringing back after the exit of Mr. Ole. So I think the Man U fans are now smiling and feeling that yes, the club is right. Even look at the Conte is also doing something well. Fantastic at soccer. Beating Norwich for 3-0 is not fit. But now let's see what is going to happen with him.
Of course, Everton, Arsenal tonight. That will be one to look out for. What's your prediction for this one?
Well, as well, I will always say I will stand for. I hope that Arsenal will win the match, but it's not going to be easy.
All right, viewers, it's been nice talking sports with you on today's episode of Sports Orbit. Once again, Salifu, thank you for making a return back to the show after a brief absence, but good to have you back.
Thank you for your knowledge.
All right, viewers at home, it'll be nice bringing the show to you until we'll come your way tomorrow again with another exciting and refreshing episode of Sports Orbit. My name is Afa, your host for today, and I say stay safe out there, and it's bye-bye from here.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.